8:47 this Thursday morning. Today is World Mental Health Day, and this morning we're getting some tips on ways to improve our own mental health and where to seek support if we need it.
We're joined now by author and family therapist Dr. Jodi Amen to learn more. Doc, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be here.
Let's talk first about what World Mental Health Day actually is and the message that is being shared.
I guess it's like an acknowledgement that, some people are struggling, and it's a regular human response to our world. People think about mental health or mental health problems as an illness inside of us. And I think to build awareness and realize that some people work a lot harder to get through the day than other people. And it's not because they're crazy or something's wrong with them, but it's because, we got a lot of stuff in this world that stresses us out.
The topic is so stigmatized, and, a lot of people, it's taboo still, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It should be something that people can openly discuss.
Yeah, because people need people, and we're really isolated so much in this world, and I think that's causing more and more of our problems. So if we're open about it and realize everyone else is going through the same thing, it really makes us feel better and more normal, less abnormal, which makes us feel worse.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's a great thing that with social media, a lot of people are talking more and more. People, even famous people, are more open about their mental health, and I think that helps everyone realize that they're not so crazy. And you can be successful, right? It doesn't mean like your life's over if you're struggling sometimes. And most of our struggle is related to the context of our life and what's going on in our life, not because there's an illness inside of us. And I think that's important to remember.
Social media plays such a role in mental health, and I think it can be good and it can be bad. Right, getting sucked into the phone doesn't really do anything for the good old brain. But also, sometimes I see it a lot on social media. People will try to self-diagnose because they're watching videos that say, "I have, bipolar disorder. I have ADHD. I have X, Y, and Z." Not just mental illnesses, but other disorders as well. And that's not something that we should be doing.
It could be helpful as well, and then it could be really harmful. I did a whole podcast episode on it, actually, that TikTok diagnoses. And people are saying, I have a borderline personality disorder, or I have tics, and it's making them feel worse a lot of the time because it's giving them a label, which is an identity conclusion. And they're starting to think of themselves that way and feel different than other people, which devastates them and makes them worse. Sometimes it could empower you to learn how to deal with it or learn what to do. Like there's a lot of ADHD tips, morning tips to how to get yourself moving. And so there is some positive there, but there is a lot of negative that we see.
Yeah, and I try and avoid that kind of stuff because I know there's a little bit of hypochondriac in me, and I love to diagnose on WebMD. That's more than enough. I don't need another platform. And there's also the risk that you don't want to join in on someone's treatment plan that is their treatment plan specifically for their diagnosis.
Exactly. Well, yes, exactly. Unless it's something that we all should be doing, right? Exercise in the morning.
Yes.
Eat your vegetables. Take deep breaths. I mean, those things are good for all of us, no matter what we're feeling. So that's okay, obviously. But sometimes people get ideas about different medication or different non-medication things that are things that are vices that might be hurting them, for sure.
Let's talk about ways to get help aside from the TikTok doctors or whatever. There are so many resources available. There could be more, but let's focus on the ones that people can have access to 24/7, 365.
Well, of course, there's hotlines. There's like the suicide hotline 988, and there are more and more counselors out there in private practice or in clinics that people could go to. And I know during the pandemic it was really hard to find a counselor, but now I think it's a lot easier. There's not as much need, and so there's space for you. And so ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask people at school, wherever you are, and get referral to somebody who could help, because it's really powerful experience to go to counseling, and it's transformative. if someone could walk you through how to relieve yourself from some of this that's really heavy.
And I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I think that there may be some relief for some people in getting a diagnosis instead of wondering, why am I feeling this way? Why does my brain work like this? Actually getting validation that, okay, there's a problem and there's a way to fix it. There's a way to get better.
Yes, I think sometimes, I think initially when you have the diagnosis, like, okay, something to fight against, but it also does make us think that we're different. And so there is a lot of problem with mental health diagnosing people because often I like to tell people, you know, when we're sad, when we're anxious, there is a context to it. It's a regular human response to what's going on in the world. I mean, I know you've been talking about the hurricane and what we're seeing on the news all the time, these global events. It's so heavy on us. And we're having experiences in our own life that are very heavy on us. And so if people get a diagnosis, they immediately think that there's something like wrong with them or that's always been there or something they have to deal with forever. And we can fully recover. And I think when you have a diagnosis, it's hard to remember that.
Let me ask you quickly, we're running low on time, but for somebody sitting at home, you mentioned the podcast earlier. Where can people hear that episode?
Yeah, you could go to jodiem.com and click down, and my blog's in there, and so all my podcast is called Anxiety, I'm So Done With You.
Perfect. And it's perfect for World Mental Health Day, too.
Yes.
We are done with it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.